Kia ora, good evening. Police are urging people to remove valuable property from vehicles before locking them at night as they raise concerns that property visible in vehicles entices offenders. A spate of vehicle thefts is underway in the city with 22 break-ins reported for the month so far, including 4 vehicles being broken into last night.
Normally we have around 6 to 9 vehicles entered a week. We're certainly tracking higher than that at the moment, and would appear this was responsible. One group of offenders are responsible. Vehicles have been, windows have been smashed, electrical property being targeted. That's your audio equipment from the vehicle itself, plus property that's been left in there by the owners.
This began in the Waverley-Glengarry area, but the crime is spreading?
It's spread out across the city. Some suburbs have been hit harder than others. Waverley-Glengarry through Georgetown and Strathern appear to be what we would refer to as the hot locations. The spread of offending would indicate the offenders are mobile in a vehicle. So we haven't got any suspects at this time, but our plea to the public is that if you're hearing a vehicle slowly cruising your street at night, have a look, give us a call. Obviously, don't intervene, and don't leave your valuable property in your vehicle.
Police are currently investigating some of these crime scenes.
Yes, we are. We're obviously it's another thing for the members of the public who hopefully we can catch these offenders. But if we don't, if your vehicle's been broken into, certainly don't touch things because we will look at for forensic examination. As
far as the products that have been taken from the cars, what's the most likely way these are going to be offloaded by the thieves?
A number of ways. Often they put through second-hand dealers. Social networking sites like your Facebooks and that, people offer property for sale. So, if you're being offered property for sale, which you've got some questions about, please make contact with us. There'll be people out there that will know who these offenders are. So again, you can make contact with the police, whether it be anonymously through our Crime Stoppers 0800 555 111. But we would like obviously we're really good community support here in Southland, so we'd like some information to identify these offenders.
Invercargill's St Teresa's Church in Windsor was attended by dozens of people last night supporting the South's Filipino community. 2 weeks on since Typhoon Haiyan devastated much of the Philippine Islands and killed over 4,000 people in that country alone, a Mass was held in the city. Organised by what's thought to be the world's southernmost Filipino community, the Mass was a chance to reflect on the aftermath of the disaster caused by winds of up to 315 kilometres per hour. In the south, almost $10,000 has been raised by the Filipino expats to support their birth country, many of whom have relatives and friends still in the Philippines. The Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment has released a report today focusing on land use and nutrient pollution of water. The report projects current dairy conversion rates up to 2020. These figures were then combined with the established data on the increases in nitrogen and phosphorus pollution that occur when land is converted from beef and sheep farming to dairying. Modelling within the report shows annual nitrogen loads on freshwater continuing to rise in virtually every region. The report indicates there will be an almost 30% increase in the nitrogen loading on Southland waterways between the years of 1996 and 2020. Environment Southland Chair Ellie Tim says the report's a useful addition to all the information being pulled together and the work being done around water quality. She says water quality is the Council's top priority and has been for some time. A new bill to establish a game hunting council to set some national rules around aerially assisted trophy hunting passed its second reading in Parliament yesterday by 69 votes to 51. If the bill is introduced, it could spell the end of helicopters herding game animals for paying clients to shoot from the air. I spoke to Steve Robinson of the Southland Deerstalkers Association about what's largely considered by ground-based hunters as an unsportsmanlike search and shoot practice.
Basically on the ethic side of things, that the animals are not pursued in a fair chase situation. They're pursued to virtually exhaustion, and then the so-called guide, which is really only a chaperone, will get out of the helicopter, and then the so-called hunter, which is only a shooter, will take his trophy and then make up some far-fetched story on how successful the hunt was. Meanwhile, any photographs taken in the helicopter would not be in the background.
It's a lucrative industry if people have the right money to pay to shoot like that.
Yes, definitely. Some clients are willing to pay quite big money. There's the tahr and the chamois in New Zealand. They travel to shoot. They're paying up to $5,000 for a tahr. So there's not too many mums and dads paying for the boys' 21st to go and do that in New Zealand.
What effects does aerial hunting have on the ground-based hunting in the south, if any?
We're lucky in Southland that a lot of our conservation land is so bush-clad, so the helicopters can't do that successfully. But also we don't have huge numbers of good trophy chamois and tahr down here, but in Fiordland we've got some pretty good wapiti bulls there now, so who knows, that could be taking place or even in the future.
It seems likely that there will be some strategies put in place and some rules around this type of hunting. What should the Animal Council consider when they are developing a code of practice?
A good ethic base. Like most things, you have to have a set of rules, a good set of rules based on ethics. I believe, and our members through the Deerstalk Association also believe that the whole thing is so unethical that we're against it in lots of ways. We'd like to stop it because it's banned in most countries in Europe. In North America, you cannot fly and hunt on the same day. So if we were to adopt that attitude and strategy in New Zealand, it may curve the open slather scenario that could take place.
What do you see as the biggest benefits if this does come through?
New Zealand's going through a change with hunting. It could possibly be a very positive step forward, provided the right people in the driving seat.
Stay with us. Still to come on South Today News, Oxford Dictionary announces the word of the year for 2013. Welcome back. Legislation passed under parliamentary urgency will see State House tenants subjected to regular reviews of their eligibility to occupy state-provided accommodation. Previously, tenants have been able to occupy their state houses for life, regardless of changes to their financial circumstances. Housing Minister Nick Smith says the policy of a state house for life was a poor one, with Housing New Zealand currently accommodating 4,000 tenants whose incomes are sufficiently high enough to pay a market rent. State houses freed up by the reviewable tenancies will be used to provide housing for those most in need of support. The reforms also enable approved social housing providers to receive the same rent subsidy as Housing New Zealand tenants. The government's stated ambition is to grow the community housing sector to provide 20% of New Zealand's social housing over the next 5 years. Environment Southland today hosted a workshop for teachers on waste management in schools and kindergartens as part of the Enviro Schools program. Teachers took part in a discussion on recycling, composting and worm farming before the group headed out to Thornbury Primary School to see an example of a successful school waste management program. Hunter Andrews went along to find out what Invercargill schools and kindergartens are doing to minimise their waste.
At this stage, we are looking at opening or continually operating a community recycling shed where businesses and families and anyone in the community can drop off things that may be useful in crafts or other people can reuse it.
What sort of support have you had for the idea?
We've had, I've written to businesses, we've had some support from other businesses dropping off things that would otherwise go to a landfill. And we've also had our first community preschool come in and bring some things to swap with us.
And how enthusiastic are the kids? Because they're the driving force, really, aren't they?
They are. The kids are getting on board. Yeah, as we move through the project, they understand more about reducing waste and making Papatūānuku a better place. Yeah.
And the message, of course, is that those kids take that message home, don't they? So the parents are thinking about it and then they're thinking about it in the workplace.
Yeah, that's the ideal. the children go home and share their knowledge that they've learned at kindergarten, and we get it all out into the wider community.
And today has been helpful for you?
Absolutely, I've got so many good ideas to take back to the kindergarten and share with the children.
That was really interesting that Carisbrook scored 100% waste free. Do you see yourself, your kindergarten heading that way?
Absolutely, I do. I have real hope that we can work towards that with our families and the community.
Oh, we're into recycling in a big way. We've got a good thing going on with all our sort of food scraps and waste. So we've got a great worm farm and a luscious compost heap that feeds the soil of our ample vegetable gardens. So our kids are right into it.
And how long's that been going on? Is this for a while now?
We've been composting for about 5 years, and gradually moving to being sort of looking at sustainability and how we can reduce our waste. But today we're finding out some really brilliant ideas how we can do better and do even more. Things like look at the lunch boxes and the glad wrap in those lunch boxes and how we can reduce that, because that's not a good, it's a waste product that causes a lot of trouble in the landfills. We're just looking at how we can beautify our grounds even more and continue to make more natural habitats. We've got some fantastic things going on. We've got great little habitat with stick insects. About 5 years ago we created a very native little garden with the view to planting manuka so we could attract stick insects, and this year we've got stick insects galore and lots of little babies, and the kids are very excited. So
So the stick insects are part of the environmentally friendly plan?
Yeah, exactly. We kind of are setting out to create habitats that really support sort of some of the insect life that we want the kids to experience that they might not see unless they were out in the bush or had parents who were very aware. We want to be able to have that as an everyday experience. So we're setting out to actually create the habitats, and planting manuka was one way. And about 5 years ago we planted a wee area with some manuka, and we're seeing the fruits of it now with the stick insects.
When do you see you heading towards that 100% waste free?
Oh, look, we'd love to do that one day. We've got to take our community with us. We've got to get people all on board with it and go at a pace that everyone's comfortable with, because it means changes, and you want them to be changes that are sustainable and stay put, and people have a belief in it too, just as much as we do. So we move at the pace of our community, but we will be one day. That's our aim.
125,000 people have renewed their passports online since the launch of the service in November 2012. Internal Affairs Minister Chris Tremaine says the service has saved New Zealanders almost $4 million in passport fees over the last 12 months. The Minister says the service is part of a drive by the government to change the way New Zealanders deal with government departments. The government is delivering the service as part of the Better Services goals. The goal is to have 70% of the most common government departmental transactions available online by 2017. The Passport Online renewal service is available for adults over the age of 16. New Zealand is the first country in the world to offer the service. It's that time of the year again when it's time to announce the Oxford Dictionary Word of the Year. The votes have been counted and the winner is selfie. Oxford Dictionary says the vote was unanimous, and although it is included in Oxford's online dictionary, it was only rated as a word on the radar a little over a year ago. So popular is the word selfie, it's been developed to reflect other body parts too, like the healthy, a hair photo, or wealthy, a workout photo, and the legsy, a photo of outstretched legs. And on that fascinating insight, it brings us to a close. Stay with us for Sport Up next. From the news team, it's Good Night, See.